All right, what is up, YouTube? It's your boy Tonks coming back at you with another Lost Ark video. I said I wasn't going to do this, but since I got a new mic and it seems like the sound quality is significantly better than my last mic, I figured I would kind of redo my Master Summoner kind of guide progression. Whatever you want to call it. I have upgraded him or her a little bit, not much, but other than like item level, really, and then some cards. Um, but I figured I'd just kind of do an update video on that and just kind of go over a couple things for all of you master summoners out there. Just some kind of things that I've seen that have kind of helped me out just through experiences and kind of, looking at some other guys, looking at some things here and there that have kind of greatly helped me out. Um, so I will just kind of update that a little bit. So, kind of looking at the summoner in general, master summoner. I am now 1590. I was able to get that last reset. Got all my Braille gear done and all that. We'll take that for what it is. You can kind of say whatever you want. We're just I am not a free to play player. I'm not going to pretend that I am. I enjoy this game. I spend a pretty decent chunk of change on this game. So, take that for what it is. Especially with the summoner class in general. I think this class, next to probably a sorceress and like a surge deathblade, probably a deathblade striker, those four, um, very, very expensive classes. This class, I've been working on it since it came out. I had been saving up for it for months because I knew this is what I wanted to play. So take that for what it's worth. There's some, I have put a pretty hefty investment into this class. So again, just to kind of get those questions out of the way, when I get the, oh my God, how are you 1590? How is this? How is that? I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I wailed it. So it is what it is. So take that for what it's worth. If you have the ability to do that, great. If not, you don't have to. You don't necessarily have to be this to do all of the end game content right now. It's the way that she's set up now. She's about 10 item level off from being prepared for Hardacon. So if you guys are familiar with the progression of this game, that is a very long way away. So we're just kind of chilling now, and but I did want to go over some stuff with her and different things there. So that being said, we're at 1590. Spec hasn't changed. Swiftness has not changed. I have not changed any of my jewelry up or anything like that. I'm close to 1800. That's really where you want to be as far as a master summoner goes. The higher the spec that you can get, the better off that this class is going to be. The gauge building, everything else. This is a very bursty class. To a lot, very similar to like a sorceress. But I would say we're more on the kind of mini burst side, to where if you get your rotations right, you can kind of build and dump your ancient skills fairly quickly. Um, so that being said, with my jewelry, most of the stuff that I got is pretty decent as far as item quality goes. Bracelet is just kind of whatever right now. That'll be more of a goal later on once I get some of my other characters kind of in a better spot. My stone again, nothing spectacular. 9.5. It's I'm happy with it. Is what it is. So, and then what I had mainly been doing lately, um, since I got her to 1590, is working on some of my gear quality. Now it's not spectacular by any means. Other than the weapon, I got very lucky on the weapon. I rolled it like that. I didn't even have to quality tap it. So again, very very lucky. I was happy with that, and then was able to get all of my brow stuff done, and then get it all to 20 quality. For me, um, upgrading the item level on this and honing these guys up was really not very hard for me. I was lucky. Like I said, I didn't pity anything. Nothing happened that was terribly bad. But so that's kind of the goal right now, to improve the rest of the quality. I'm trying to get all these in the purple, and then we'll go from there. So going over the engravings, we'll do that first. I am 5x3. The way that I have this set up is I have Adrenaline 3 instead of, and I'm running Hitmaster instead of Curse Stall and Keen Blood instead of Curse Stall. So when Ancient comes out, ultimately the goal, there's some different plays there that you can do, and I've got to do a little bit more research there. But this will probably either get knocked down to 1 and I will run Curse Stall at 3, or I could run this and then run, if you get a 9/7 stone, you could run Curse Stall at level 2. So those are some things to think about as you're progressing. Now, obviously, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Getting a 9/7 stone is very, very, very challenging. You know, I was lucky to get a 9/5, and that was still pretty hard to hit. So, but if you can get an Adrenaline Stone, 9/7 stone, you run an Adrenaline 2, that would be awesome. But again, those are all things to kind of consider as you continue to move forward and as we get closer and closer to Ancient level accessories. Now, again, I'll probably take that fairly slow. Ancient level accessories are going to be extremely, extremely expensive. So we'll probably hang out at this for at least for a little while. I'm definitely happy with this. The damage is good. This can easily do all content probably for the next year, to be totally honest with you. So just don't be in a huge rush. Again, especially if you're a free-to-play player, don't be in a huge rush. Chip away at it. Do what you can do. Try to find some deals and bids on jewelry if you can, because this class is expensive. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's probably gonna take some time to build up if that's your goal. I guess moving on to the gems. Now, again, another thing with the gems, everybody kind of goes back and forth on the gems. With the summoner, gems definitely help, I think, a lot more than some of the other classes, especially along the cooldown route. The swiftness helps, but if you can get your cooldown gems higher, it gives you a couple options to kind of play off of it. Now, what I mean by that is if you want to kind of run the meta like I'm running, which is the Spec Swift build, all this does is make it a lot smoother, make your rotations a lot smoother, helps you build gauge a lot easier. And those things are great. Or if you want, and you're all about the DPS, you want the high damage ceiling, you want, the maximum amount of damage that you can push with this character, then you would take the swiftness off and you would switch it for crit. Now, I will say, I've done some testing on this. Crit's definitely good, and it will definitely increase your damage. However, what's hard with that is that these all need to be about where I have them. And ultimately, if you can, getting all these to level 10, which is extremely expensive, extremely difficult. But the reason for that being is that the higher that you can get these gems and you take swiftness out, that kills your cooldowns. As if you can see here, I have almost 600 swiftness. My skill cooldown is almost 13%. Everybody doesn't think that that's that significant, but I promise you, when you get in the middle of a raid and you start, the boss starts running around and moving and doing all this random stuff, and you miss a couple skills here or there, that cooldown helps immensely. Okay? It helps immensely so really kind of going off of that, if your game knowledge is good, if your raid knowledge is good, you're very mechanically sound, you can definitely go the crit route, and that will give you more damage. It will give you a significantly higher damage ceiling. But I am not that good. I'm not gonna lie. I definitely make mistakes. Things happen. So for me, this works out a lot better than going the crit route for now. Okay. But kind of going over some gems. Okay, the biggest one that I will tell you that I would shoot for, and the biggest goal that I would have as a master summoner, is this one right here. Level 10 Ancient Skill Damage. This is by far your biggest damage skill. This will increase your damage ceiling significantly. Okay, more so than anything else. So if you can, this is the main gem that I would shoot for. Going off of that, this Earth Collapse and Ancient Spear are your other two big DPS skills. All right. So the one big pull that I will say that's nice about Master Summoner versus Communication Overflow and versus a lot of other classes is that in order to do good damage with this class, you only need these 3 damage gems, right? The rest is all cooldown. So in the extreme late game, that will save you a significant amount of gold. You know, when you're starting to get to this level, level 9s and level 10s, it will save you a significant amount of gold because the level 10 damage gems are significantly more expensive than the cooldown. We're talking probably about 300k extra on a damage gem versus a cooldown gem. So is that a big pull for this? You know, maybe. For me, I just like this play style for the summoner better than I like the, you know, all the summons. Like some, you know, you just play what you like. But that being said, these cooldown gems, kind of just go over them really quickly. This one is another big goal that I would tell you guys to have if you can. Getting this to level 10 as your Electric Storm is really, really good. Now, I'm not saying don't sit here and roll all day long if you don't have any of these and you just happen to get a level 10 cooldown gem. If you could get Electric Storm, if you could get Surety, if you could get Sticky Swamp Moss, L-Seed, or even Water Elemental, all of those are really, really good. Those are all high priority in my opinion as far as cooldown gems go. Okay, so those are all really good to have. But I will say, as far as your biggest gauge generating skill, it's going to be this. And as far as your rotation, when you start dropping your alts and building those things up too, this is a really good skill to have as low cooldown as you possibly can. Okay, it's very, very good. So again, that's why I went for that level 10 gem first, and I'm very happy that I got that. Another level 10 gem that I have, Ancient Spear. Again, another really good gem. If you can keep that on cooldown quicker, it's a big damage skill. It's your second biggest damage skill next to your ancient skills. Okay, pretty much next to Akir, essentially. But again, if you can get that one, then my other level 10, Water Elemental. Again, another really good one to have on cooldown if you can. Get it as high cooldown as you can because it is your counter skill. It's another good gauge generator. You know, it pretty much speaks for itself. So then outside of that, just regular level 9 Surety, LC, those are good. You know, those are your self-buffing skill. Sticky Moss Swamp, self-buffing skill. Steed Charge, another really good for, you know, you throw an Overwhelm rune on this, and that would help you a lot. So again, gems, pretty self-explanatory, but that's currently what I'm sitting at. Moving on from there, kind of go over my card situation. It has gotten a lot better since the last video I've done. I have been purchasing my card packs. You know, again, cards are hard to come by, guys. So again, if you have the means to buy card packs from Mari Shop, now the ones that I recommend, if this will pull up, is these guys. The legendary rare card packs. These are the only ones that I buy. I do not buy these. These are a bait. Okay, these never ever work out. So complete and total bait. If you can buy these ones, if you have the means to do that, cool. Like I said, if you don't, then just save up for them, see what you can get. But this is where I'm at right now. Currently sitting, I believe, at 24. So we're slowly getting there. Again, it takes time, guys. This just is what it is. But this, if you can, I always make the recommendation, the quicker that you can get to 18 piece Light of Salvation is a pretty substantial damage increase for your character. So again, that being said, once you go from there, you can get to 30. But 18, I kind of speed, you know, ran to that, got that, and then from there, just been kind of chilling as I go. But I've been fortunate on my card drops, on my, you know, my card packs. I've been lucky, and those have helped me immensely. So again, we're almost there. Still got a pretty good ways to go, but we're working on it. From there, really quickly, just kind of going over some of the skills. This is kind of how I have my stuff laid out right now. Sticky Moss Swamp, keep this at level 7. Again, ready attack. It's lucky I got that at level 5. Then Corrosion Diffusion. Going from there, L-Seed, Magic Amp, Deadly Poison Seed, Elite Summoning. Those are good. Now, these two skills, guys, these are your self-buff skills. So if you have any questions as far as the rotation goes, let me know in the comments, and I can do a video on rotation. But I'm sure there's information out there. I'm sure most people probably know this by now. But these need to be cast before or during your cast of your ancient skill. That gives you a buff window, and that's going to give you significantly more damage than if you just cast these guys by themselves. So again, with Summoner, a lot more of it is not necessarily, just dumping everything that you have as fast as you can. You need to be able to plan and kind of understand how to self buff and then dump, self buff and then dump. And that's how you get that maximum amount of damage, and that's how you get your rotations where they need to be. But that being said, sometimes if you don't have good gems and decent swiftness, right, or if you decide to go crit and you don't have decent gems, that's when the rotation gets kind of wonky, and that's what can honestly hinder your progression and hinder your damage just in general. And that's where a lot of times I'll see guys are like, oh, I don't know why I can't MVP. I don't know why I can't, I feel like I'm not hitting as hard. I feel like I'm screwing it up. Like most of the time after we go through, what's your gear score? What are your gems? What are your runes? All this, all your basic stuff. And they go, oh yeah, I'm good. Generally speaking, then you get into kind of the rotation, right? And looking at hitting your skills and all those things. And that's kind of where most people fall apart. And that's kind of where you see the difference between good summoners and great summoners. So keep those things in mind. It takes practice. It's not that hard, but again, like I said, it just takes practice. It takes time. It takes understanding mechanics and understanding your positions realistically a lot better than a lot of other classes. So from there, moving on, Water Elemental, again, another good gauge generator. Again, like I said, with these, you try to get your tripods as best as you can, but the new tripod system is, I don't know how the math works, but I feel like it doesn't work super well because I'm having a really hard time hitting level 5s. I've been lucky on a couple, but not very, very much so. And I'm not buying tripods. I'm just naturally trying to acquire them. So that's one thing that I don't like spending gold on, and again, do with it what you will. I know a lot of people say, well, tripods give you more damage than these gems and then this and then your gear and all this stuff. Like that's true, but at least with honing and with gems and stuff like that stuff is certain. Like I know eventually I'm going to get those things. Whereas these, it's a complete and total chance, and there's no way to pity those. So again, if you're asking me, I am naturally just going to acquire these as I go. Okay. But skill wise, MP recovery, weak point detection, water cannon. Okay. With those, again, remember this is your counter skill, and the counter is the actual cone from your initial cast. It's not the big water cannon that the guy spits out. Okay, so just understand that. People will say that a lot of times, like, I don't know why I'm missing. I don't know why I'm missing my counter. Your counter, you kind of have to be up on top of the boss to land that. So most of the time, most people are not going to rely solely on summoners to be the counter gods. Most of the time you're looking at a paladin or some gun lance or something like that to be able to hit those counters. Even the martial arts classes significantly better at hitting their counters than this class. This class is not a great counter. So that being said, I always recommend, like, don't keep this off of cooldown. Just cast it. A lot of times I put a wealth rune on there. A lot of times it's a good gauge generator. So I'm never really waiting to use this, except for maybe in some of the Braille gates. That's about it. Steed charge. I have Stormlight Gallop, weak point detection, destruction charger. This I've been kind of testing and messing around with. That's why I don't have it at level 4. I've been messing with some other skills, like I said in my last video. But with this, the big thing I tell people, you can kind of go back and forth on whatever rune you want to use for this. Now for me, based on my spec, I don't really have a tough time generating gauge. So what I like to do is throw Overwhelm rune on this, and it helps a lot for stagger checks, especially like in Clown, Braille, stuff like that. This is much more helpful for me to help with stagger than, for example, putting another wealth rune on here. So again, take that for what you will. If you want, or if you don't have as high of spec, you can absolutely throw another wealth rune on here. like another purple or a blue Welthrune on here if you have it. I'd probably throw this on and just kind of see how that goes. But for me, the Overwhelm is better as of right now. Moving on to Ancient Spear, Quick Prep, Explosive Spear, Ancient Strength. These are pretty much a non-negotiable for raids, guys. This will kick you into a 3-spear mechanic. Now, as far as hitting that skill goes, it takes a little bit more practice. You want to kind of try and get your casting outline or whatever you want to call that in the middle of the boss, so that way it will hit all 3 spears. But again, the boss moves, certain things happen. Sometimes you just can't hit all 3, but it still is a good skill regardless. With that being said, I am putting my Legendary Galewind on there because this cast time takes significantly longer than pretty much anything else that I'm casting right now. So, can't take that for what it is. Now, Earth Collapse, or essentially your third best DPS skill. Flame Collapse, Shake, and Earth Manipulator is what I'm using. Okay. Now again, I put another Welthrune on here. Get another good gauge builder, another good DPS skill. This is a very well-rounded skill for us as Master Summoners. So again, reason why I have that at a 12. These two are non-negotiable for 12-point skills. This Steed Charge, again, I've kind of been testing that. I like having this at 12, but realistically, you could put pretty much any of these that you want at 12, but I think right now this is the best one based on the skill points that we have. I'm maxed out at 408, so until we get more skills to kind of mess around with, this would probably be my next one to try and build up, maybe, or even Water Cannon. So actually probably Water Cannon, but again, that'll take some testing. Once we get more skill points, I'll kind of screw around with that, and I'll get you guys another video just to kind of go over that. Coming from here, Electric Storm, again, like I said before, by far your best gauge generating skill. So because of that, Legendary Welthrune. Skills, Swift Cast, just helps with the casting speed, Sustain, Time, and then Guiding Storm. So Guiding Storm, this will be, so you can kind of pre-cast this in raids, okay? But the biggest thing I will say about this guy is that if you pre-cast this and it's going to follow the boss, it follows the boss, but it follows the boss very, very slowly. So if you cast this and it tries to chase him, and then he does a massive jump, like in Clown Raid, for example, or even Brel, those are kind of two that are sticking out in my mind. Even Vicus, she moves a lot. Sometimes you're not going to get as much gauge generation because it's going to spend the majority of its time chasing the boss and not hitting them. So, again, take that for what it's worth. Does that mean don't cast this skill or try to wait till they're staggered or knocked or anything like that? No, not by any means. But just understand sometimes that skill will kind of miss, essentially, or not be able to get under the boss as quickly as you want it to, and it will cause you to not, cause that rotation to get a little wonky. So just be aware of that. Those are things that you kind of consider. But last but certainly not least, Shruti. I put a bleed rune on this just for a little extra damage. It always auto attacks and just kind of shoots if you can. But again, this is another big self buff skill. So I do Shining Growth. This is one that I'm really trying to get to level 5 because it's going to increase your crit rate, right? We as summoners do not inherently have a lot of crit. Obviously, that is why you run Hallucination Set and why you run Shruti. So that in general will give you, between those things and then your supporter buffs, that will give you a significant amount of crit, which is great. Now, another thing that I have been testing as the stable Shruti, I have level 5 on this. I'm not running that right now. I just haven't really felt like a big need for it. And, if you're paying attention and you can cast properly to keep this guy off of cooldown, or you always have it up, you really don't need this, guys. You can run something else, and that will be significantly better, in my opinion. Now, if you don't like doing that and you want to run this instead of something else, by all means, go for it. But for me, I don't see this being really necessary, so it is what it is. I have level 5 on it, but I don't even use it right now. And then finally, running MP Recovery to, again, just kind of help with the mana. I have never had mana issues with this character. I don't need to eat mana food or anything like that, like some of these other classes have to. So, again, take that for what it is, but I think that's a big help there in general. Finally, as far as the kind of awakening skill that I run Bagrun's Wrath. So again, I'm sure a lot of people have had this and have seen videos on this. If you have questions on this, let me know and I can kind of go over it. I could do another video on it. This skill, you essentially will, if you do this right and the boss doesn't move and you can hit, this will help you be able to cast your Akir or your, ancient skill, whatever you're using, but mainly this is used with Akir. It will help you do it 3 times. So how you do this is you want to make sure that your gauge is already full, cast it once, do one of your buff skills. Okay, make sure Shooty's out. Then you will cast this, Electric Storm, or you can cast this first if this is full. Generally, I will cast this first if the gauge is full. Cast this first, cast your ancient skill once, buff skill. Then I will hit this, and it will immediately fill all this gauge up as long as it hits the boss. Cast it again. Usually, if your buff skill is still up, you can just leave it, or if you need to cast another buff skill, cast one of these, then you will generally fill it up one more time, or if it doesn't, you can cast one more of these, and then it will finish that, and then you can cast it for a 3rd time. And that will give you an extreme amount of damage in that little damage window that we generally have, and you'll be able to do maximum amount of damage as far as that goes. I will post some videos as far as some different raids and stuff. I wish I would have posted a video. I did a clown last night where I did it. Pretty much wiped about 20 or 30 bars of health on him, and we were able to skip a couple of the Marios because of that. So again, this takes a little bit of practice. It's not quite as hard as people think it is to get all of those off, but you just got to be positionally aware, make sure that you're in a good spot, and you can cast it accordingly. And then generally, if you do it right, you'll get 3 Akir casts out of it. Okay, at the bare minimum, you get 2, but a lot of times, if you do it right, you'll get 3. Okay, so again, like I said, this is just kind of an updated video. I haven't changed much other than my sound settings, so I just kind of wanted to re-go over some stuff. And obviously, last video I did was I was 1575, now I'm 1590. So again, the biggest goal for me right now, like I said, is the tripods and then trying to get my quality up. And really outside of that, guys, my gems are in a good spot. Don't feel like you need to be in this huge rush to get your gems through the roof. That stuff takes time. If I could go back, or if this class had been released properly before the tripod system went up, I would absolutely say get your tripods done, get your quality stuff, get your gearing and honing done before you go flying in and making a massive investment in the gems. Unfortunately, this class came out after the new tripod update. So because of that, I did this first. I'd been saving a lot of gems on my other characters from Boss Rush and stuff like that. So I was able to get a lot more, level 9s because of that, which just happened to help me a lot more. But don't feel like you need to do this right now. Level 7 gems are totally fine. That would be what I would say would be your goal. If you want one gem to focus on the high annihilation gem. If you can get a level 8 or a level 9 on that, it will help your damage a lot as far as the ancient skill goes. Okay. Outside of that, the rest of these are pretty, whatever. You can take your time with that and get those good. And again, take your time with the cards too. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with running. I thought I had it up. With running your Lost Wind set for a while and just to give you a little bit more crit. That definitely helps the summoner just with inherent crit anyways, while you're trying to build your hallucination set, trying to build all these things. Again, it takes time, guys. It's just, this is a marathon, not a sprint. So again, but I just thought I'd post this video just to give you guys kind of an idea of what an end game summoner looks like, an end game master summoner looks like. Again, I have level 12 Grudge, level 12 Master Summoner. You can kind of do some different things there. And again, it kind of will give you some play. But I found that getting a class engraving to 12 saves you an immense amount of money and gold when trying to do your jewelry. Okay, because a lot of times people will take advantage if they know you need more on your class engraving than on any of these other ones. Okay, but again, if you're trying to save gold, I would try and roll like adrenaline stones, grudge stones, obviously, if you don't have grudge to level 12 like I do. But I do recommend keeping, if you can, getting that to 12. That goes across the board on all of your DPS characters. So it's a really good engraving to invest in, especially right now with our boy Mr. Golden Frog. He's out. If you can try and spend some gold on that and getting your engraving books, if you get lucky and get a couple drops on that, that would be good. So again, like I said, this is just kind of an update video slash guide. Since I've got a little bit better sound quality, hopefully this sounds a little bit better, looks a little bit better. And like I said before, if you guys wouldn't mind liking the video, subscribe. If you enjoy my content, I'll keep trying to push some more out, push some more raid videos out, different things as this girl progresses. And like I said, if you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to drop them below. Thanks again for watching, guys. If you made it to the end of the video, I really appreciate it. And like always, stay safe and have a great day. See you guys.